Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of JForex Indicators Explained, we will be looking at one more of a Gann indicator. The name is Gann Trained Oscillator. This is a formation, this is a indicator which we can utilize to look for the trend and particularly the trend changes. There are only two output values, numerical values for this indicator, so there is nothing in between. It is not a linear output value indicator, but rather a discrete one where you can have only two values oscillating between -1 and 1. So let us now head to the JForex for the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA to see how we can utilize this indicator to look for the trading opportunities where we feel we have higher probability of making money rather than losing money. Of course, that is always the main criterion whenever we want to go for any trade. We want to make sure that we have the high probability of getting it right, getting the trend right, and trend is always your friend. So that is how this indicator is going to be helpful for figuring out the trend changes in the initial phase. Whenever the trend changes from one side to another, from bullish to bearish, or for that matter from bearish to bullish, we want to get involved and take advantage of that trend change. So this indicator gives you the idea of the trend change, so you can then initiate, you can plan your trades accordingly. You can utilize this indicator for entry as well as for exit purposes. So let us now add this. All you have to do is type in Gann trained oscillator, and here it is. And as I said in my introductory remarks, there are only two discrete values, -1 and 1. The 1 represents the positive output, that is indicating the underlying tone, the underlying momentum to be bullish. And on the opposite side, we have the negative values. That means the output is now indicative of the bearish undertone in the market, and we see these as the markers of the trend change. So whenever the output changes from one territory to another, from positive to negative or from negative to positive, we consider it as the sign of the trend change, and then we have to plan the trades accordingly. Of course, not all the time you will see the trend lasting. Many a times when there is a particularly no significant trend, the momentum is sideways. In that kind of scenario, this indicator is also likely to mislead and generate many false signals, or the signals where the formation is not really going to give you wide moves. Rather than that, the price action is going to consolidate, and it is going to remain in a limited range. So in that kind of environment, you will have to be cautious, you will have to be careful, and trade while considering that kind of possibility. And it gives you a new trend, and if it continues to run for a while, then of course you are going to make a significant amount of money. But if, for example, here, if there is no significant trend, and if the momentum keeps shifting from one side to another in a very short span of time, in that kind of environment, it will be actually not making money. But if you take all these trades, you might end up losing money. Suppose, for example, if we look at this case particularly, as the trend change between this 1 hour from 14 GMT to 15 GMT, we have, I think, here, if you had the initiation of the trade somewhere here, while keeping the stop loss little above this immediate swing high, you would have remained in trade for long time. There was no significant reversal. But after this consolidation phase, again the indicator is now telling you that the trend has changed from bearish to bullish, so you would have needed to book your insignificant profit, or for that matter small loss, if you had taken the trade somewhere here. And then if you had gone on for the trade in a changed scenario, considering that now the momentum has changed and you should go for a bullish trade, then only in a short span of time, again the momentum would have shifted back. So that would have created these change of prior trade, and you would have needed to initiate another trade. So you would have two loss-making trades, then a profitable trade on these levels. So you would have been then profiting in this third trade, and after that, if you had gone for profit booking, well and good, else these would have again reverse course and come back to rise, leading to the further trend change. And that trend would have also not lasted very long. It would have given you some amount of profit, but again we see these moves of very short moves, not big moves. So the profit, even if you had one or two make in this trade, would have remained very small, or for that matter, you would have even suffered some losses if you had not gone for profit booking or trailing stop loss kind of system. So this kind of possibilities, this kind of scenarios also needs to be kept in mind while utilizing these Gann trained oscillator. And then comes this strong move for a significant amount of time. We saw the trend remaining in the same direction with this continuous rise. So here finally all the advantages and all the drawbacks of other trend indicators also are applicable for this. So you always have to figure it out how to minimize the losses when the trend is not strong, when the underlying moves are simply unfolding in a sideways manner. Then this indicator is not really going to be much helpful. It is going to generate many false signals. But when the trend is strong and if it remains in that same direction, then you can ride the trend using this indicator as long as it doesn't tell you anything about the trend change. So when it tells you about the trend change, you can go for a profit booking, and till that time you can keep your trade open. So that is also a possibility. So you will have to add some other filtering mechanisms to ride out these sideways scenarios, sideways dynamics when the price is moving in a narrow range. Otherwise, for the trending markets, this is one of the best indicators because you will then get to make a good amount of money. You will have these strong moves being captured by these trend following system. So that is one advantage of these indicator, the Gann trained oscillator. And as there is these discrete values, you get a clear cut idea of where the momentum lies. And suppose, for example, if you feel that this hourly formation is going to lag, then of course you have all the freedom in the world to go for shorter time horizons. But then that also comes with other kind of risk. Suppose, for example, even on the shorter time horizon, if the things are not really moving anywhere, then again you will see these indicating indicator generating false signals on the short time horizon as well, where you would end up losing money rather than making money. So, same thing as we talked about is also going to be applicable on the shorter time horizon. So, I would suggest that try to filter out some of the opportunities, try to go for the opportunities where you feel higher confidence for that particular trade. Maybe you can add other indicators to complement this. Maybe you can have your own trading system and then incorporate these Gann trained oscillator to define the entry in a more optimum manner or exit in a more optimum manner so you can optimize your trades. So as is the case with any other trend following indicator, not all the trades generated by these indicator are going to be profitable, and particularly when the underlying instrument remains sideways, then these indicator are also going to generate many false signals. So you will have to be careful on that count. Now, if we consider these formations editing options, let us see what we can do. There is not much we can do in terms of input. All we can do is customize the output, go for different color combinations. Suppose apart from these discrete values, if you want the trend up and trend down to be denoted by different color combinations, you can go for that as well. You can even change the styling option. So all these options are there, which can be increased or decreased to make it look more or less prominent on the chart as per your choice. Levels, there is not much you can use for level because these two values are there, and it is not going to help you much with adding any particularly third level. Recalculate on new candle only, that is going to be the case regardless whether you opt in for this option or not. Highlight the time period zone, you can highlight the time period wherever you feel this indicator is being used. You can go for this option as well. Calculate from custom data, you can customize these indicators calculation regardless of what is the chart's candle period. You can go for a separate calculation candle period. Suppose for example, even though the chart is of 5 minutes, you can have the calculation of this Gann trend oscillator using the hourly candle period. So it will be taking into consideration the hourly candle period whenever it will be doing the calculation, even though the chart is now defined as per 5 minute time frame. So you can have this kind of customization to make it appropriate for your trading system. Now I will revert back to the use from the chart side. Also spread difference as well, it is not going to make much of a difference. Sometimes when there is high volatility, whenever you want to use this indicator, you can have this option of getting the indicator on all the candle pairs. Else you can specify on which particular time frame it should be visible on the chart. Now that we have opted for 5 minutes and hourly, we won't have it when we change to 10 minutes or any other time frame. So here you can notice that as I am going for other time frames which are not included in our criterion, there is no plotting of these indicators. So you can have multiple indicators on the chart on different time frames, and that adds to the utility of this platform. You can have multiple data points gathered from different indicators, different patterns recognition, and then you can collate that data to define the system and get your trades right with higher probability. So that's I think all there is for defining this. Base period can also be varied, but that is not going to make much of a difference. So you can have these disabled as well. So that's all from my side for today's session of JForex indicators explained, where we saw the concept, the utility of this Gann trained oscillator. It is a fairly simple indicator to work with. You have these clearly defined output which you can take into consideration for defining the trades, for defining these trade entries, and then try to profit from market dynamics. So that's all from my side for today's session. I will be back on Monday with a new indicator to discuss. Do come back. See you next time around. Thank you all for joining in. Goodbye.